Hello, welcome to another podcast episode. I hope my camera doesn't fall. It's just sitting on a box because that's how fancy our setup is over here. So this week's episode, I thought I would kind of go through the top recipe cookbooks. The cookbooks that I'm going to at the moment, I'm leaning towards. I've got a new cookbook that I got gifted and a classic. Well, one that I got when I got married from a friend. And honestly, it is, I still reach out to this book and I still make some recipes from it. It teaches me so much. So I've got three, obviously my cookbook, shameless plug, but it's not, it's like lately, I have been going back to this cookbook, My Delicious AF Dinners, because there is so many one-pan wonders in here. And there's also recipes that are like some now, some later dishes, which I'm all about. I love bulk making bulk meals or a bulk base. So for example, gnocchi. I'm not gonna go to all that effort. I don't like store-bought personally. I mean, nothing against it. It's just not, it's something that when you kind of know how to make yourself, you could make in advance, bulk make it, keep it in the freezer. I always make like bases like pesto and freeze little portions, so they go hand in hand, and it saves me a headache on those days that it's just mayhem. I've got something in the freezer ready to go. So obviously my cookbook, I did a live in my Facebook group cooking the garlic smash spuds with broccolini, feta and herb salmon. For anyone that's watching this on, you know, on video form, that's a picture of it there. Gorgeous. It's a one tray bake. Well, it's one tray for the salmon, feta and broccolini, and then another for the potatoes. But of course you could like make so many different variations. And the whole idea around when I create a recipe, it's really just to get you thinking. So you might hate broccolini, but be like, well, hey, I have cauliflower. That works really well. You could definitely substitute it. So it's just really about thinking about meals. I did actually make in my Facebook group, I did a live from my other cookbook, my 1 dough 10 recipe. There's a recipe in there that I do that's a bread, a twist loaf. So if anyone is familiar with like Baker's Delight, they do these twist. And I did a variation in the book. It's the garlic and chorizo with like shallots twist loaf, but I did it with a pesto because I had pesto in the fridge. I didn't want to eat meat. I was like, I'm done. All I want is salad and maybe something nice next to it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a twist loaf. So I've done a live in my Facebook group. So if anyone wants to go watch that. Oh, and I did, Mum had made a really nice pork roast and I was like, I'm going to make knockoff KFC gravy. That's also from this cookbook in recipe 13. The knockoff KFC gravy is, I am shocked with how good it tastes and how close it tastes to KFC. KFC. You know, another follower actually wrote in and said that she's been making my meatloaf with lemon herb orzo. Like this meatloaf is like none other. Veggies, you know, herbs, flavor. It is so good. And I make like a tomato passata that goes on top. Really easy. It sounds fancy. It is not fancy. It's another one tray bake. Really, really, really good recipe. So stuff like that I've been making on repeat because hello to being time poor. And as you guys know, I meal plan. So when I meal plan, I sit down once a week, I dedicate a day, I write down my meals. And for me, I generally plan my meals, whatever I recipe develop, whether it's for, you know, my blog, we will have for dinner that night. So I map it out, and on the short and busy days, whether there's extracurricular activities after school, I always make those dishes that are easy and quick and one pan wonders because I ain't got no time for that. So an oldie cookbook, for anyone that's watching, you can see it here. It's a Marie Clair cookbook. For anyone listening, it's called Cuisine. I don't even know if you can buy this. I hope you can. I'm sure on the web you can find it. What I love about this book so much is that it shows a lot of, for example, basics. It'll tell you a basic, you know, roast. So and then it would tell you the cooking times, approximate cooking times for different variations of roast. So it will tell you the chicken roast. It will tell you a beef. it would tell you a lamb, and then it would tell you a pork, and you know, based on around 1.5 kilos, it will give you great stuffings for each one of those, great cooking times. So it'll give you basics and then a build up of that basic, or the base essentially. And I love that because it teaches you the basics. And I'm really sitting on the fence about writing a new cookbook. Not sitting, I want to write a new cookbook, and it's brewing, and I'm getting clearer and clearer. Probably by the time this episode comes out, I will have known what it is. Probably not, but I really love the whole base and then a build up of that base. So I was really thinking about writing a book using, like, because I know you guys love like how to make ricotta from scratch, and then what you can do using that ricotta. Of course, you know, you don't want to make your own ricotta. It doesn't happen all the time. You can buy store-bought. The point is that I love repurposing, and I hate wasting food. And when you generally have those kind of bases, whether it's a pickled onion, what can I repurpose and use and make using that base so that where there is no wastage? Preserved lemons. I was really thinking about, okay, teaching, because there's always an abundance of lemons around, right? Preserved lemons are amazing. So easy to make, by the way, and no time at all, but it just gives a different depth and flavor to a dish. So firstly, how to make the preserved lemons. Second, if you want to, and if you don't, buy them. But then what can I use them with? Okay, I've got this jar of preserved lemons, great. What dressings can I make with it? I even had an idea of making a preserved lemon and poppy seed bus cake, you know, tagines, you know, marinades, all those kind of dishes using that one base. You know, another one was like dukkha. You guys see me using it all the time. It's like an Egyptian spice. How to make it, but if you don't want to make it, that's fine, you can buy it. And when you buy it, what can I put it with? You know, can I put it with marinade for some lamb cutlets? Can I can put it on a breakfast platter, like so many different ways. So this is kind of those cookbooks that I have found for me personally, when I've ever got a cookbook and it teaches, or it has those elements of a base and then a build up of what to cook with it, I find that they are the cookbooks that I go to the most. And I'm telling you, I've been married now for like 11 years. If anyone follows me on Instagram would have seen that I've had this cookbook obviously for 11 years. I don't know how long it was around before then. And I always go to it for something. Like there's this beautiful soup that I've got to share with you guys as well. And it's a coconut and chicken soup, but it's tangy with lemon. It's got some capsicum in it. It's got some rice noodles. It's just a hearty, beautiful, light dish. I adore it so much. So that's that cookbook. You could probably hear me flicking through the pages. It even has like bruschetta, and then what kind of different toppings, compound butter. I love making compound butter and having that in the fridge. It just cuts down on cooking time as well, and it can be repurposed to garlic bread, to make even just a simple pasta with maybe some cherry tomatoes and prawns. Like, you know, you don't have to just make something and never use it. That's the whole point. I also make there every year. You guys probably see the melting moments that I share, the passion fruit ones. That recipe is from here. I've always given them credit for that. And it just gives you a really good idea, because once you get confident with the bases, then you can just look in your fridge and be like, right, okay, I'm gonna make a pork roast. Okay, what do I have? What herbs, what veggies, what can I put with it? And you know, make a gravy next to it. And then cutting down cooking times in different little tips, tricks and hacks, which I'm all for. Oh, and I hope you guys have made my homemade minced garlic. I cannot tell you how much time that saves. Like I probably use a jar a week. So for anyone that's like, oh, I don't go, you will go through it. It is so, and you will use it more because you don't have to sit there and crush and peel it every single time you got to reach out for garlic. So that's another cookbook number 2, which is Amari Clair. I'm just having a look. Like she's even done like I'm assuming it's a she who wrote this. So it's probably a team of people. Like quiches, like the basic short crust pastry base of the quiche, and then different flavors. Really, it's all to get the juices in our mind flowing. So that's book number 2. Another one that I saw, I was in, I think, Kmart, and I saw Donna Hay. Now, look, Donna, love her. Like some recipes do not work, I have to say. I feel like there has been some recipes that quote unquote the pavlova, sabotaged, pissed me off. There's nothing worse that pisses me off more about a recipe not turning out. However, this book, One Pan Perfect, I flicked through it and I was like, do I buy, because I don't usually buy cookbooks too often. I just don't. I find a lot of them, I don't want them to get into my head too much. That's what I mean. However, what I did love about this book, again, it teaches you a base, and then furthermore, using that base as a one tray bake or whatever it may be. So things that reached out to me that I loved, and obviously it got me thinking, my creative juices going, was she makes pastes in this book. I don't know, there's some Asians, I think maybe a lemongrass paste, I don't know what she called it, but it was a paste and something that you can have on standby, and what you can cook using that in different salad dressings, stir fries. I don't know what she's made with it, I'm just throwing out ideas, but I love that concept because reduce waste, easy, because you literally, when you do stuff like that, it's in a food processor, so just bang it in there. Have it in the fridge on standby and you can repurpose it. And a lot of pastes and garlic and stuff lasts quite a while in the fridge. You always ensure that you have enough oil covering the surface just so that there's no mold buildup, and it's perfect because when you're busy and you're at home, you've got something ready to go in the fridge to use to put towards a quick salad dressing. So if you've got, for example, leftovers, or you've got pre-cut coleslaw salad in the fridge, you've got some marinade to go with it, and maybe some leftover chicken, or you could grill up some chicken for the week and you have lunch. You could then take it another level and just be like, I'm gonna make a stir fry. So I've got a few vegetables, I've already got the paste ready to go, and just get some noodles, or no noodles, and just have a rice dish. Or you could make a soup and add some coconut milk to it, and some rice noodles, or brown rice and some chicken, and you have dinner. Like, it's these kind of things blow my mind, and I hope they'd blow your mind too. Yeah, she has a chapter on flavor starters, so that's generally what it is, like confit garlic and pastes. So I do recommend buying this book. And especially if you are a, relatively good, well, it doesn't matter if you're a good or bad cook. It's all about getting confident and learning and experimenting and getting different ideas and learning about different flavor combinations. Sometimes you think I've been cooking for how long, and I never thought to make my own minced garlic until I call her my garlic dealer, Lisa, had put up a post of her husband who had made a batch of, and I just never came to my mind. I've probably seen it here and there, but once I tried it, I was like, game changer, never going back, like amazing. Even like meatballs, different kind of flavor combinations for meatballs and bases and things that you can build up and put in the freezer, whack out and add with these kind of flavor starters. Or even when I did I think one of my most saved, shared reel that I ever created, a video. Who knows when you're watching this if reels even exist at that point, but reels are short clips, right? 1 minute clip of me sharing my one tray bake passata, which is just a tomato sauce. Literally, tomatoes in a tray, like olive oil, some fresh herbs like your oregano, basil, parsley, one red onion that's been diced, some garlic, cover it, bake it, and once it's soft, let it cool down and blitz it, and you have fresh homemade. Look, it's not exactly like the nonnas make it, however, it's great, and in an abundance of tomato season and herb season, why not batch create it, and keep that on standby in the fridge. So when you make meatballs, you've got the sauce ready to go. You don't need to add garlic or onions. You might need to season a little bit with salt, but it's done. You've cut your cooking process in half, and it's about eating whole foods and healthy and cutting down on the pre-done sauces. Look, I think pastes, I always buy curry pastes. I think they're great. Pastes are okay, but it's more just the packaged sauces that I get a little bit funny with the preservatives. I'm not against them. I think that in small increments is okay. So anyway, they're my books that I am kind of leaning towards. It is autumn, so I haven't got into, I do have some winter books that I go to with like slow cooker dishes that I'm always kind of thinking of making and soup. So yeah, these are my kind of autumn books at the moment. Well, the Marie Claire one is my all year, that's all the time. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, what can I, yeah. And another book that I have, which I don't even know where it is. It's I think it's called the Flavor Bible. Essentially, it's like, you know, a dictionary, encyclopedia, whatever you want to call it, where you could look up apples, and then underneath apples, it will list off a bunch of vegetables, herbs, spices, whatever, that pair up beautifully with apples. And sometimes when I'm like, okay, I've got, you know, oh, now I'm on the spot, all the ingredients in the world. I've got some beetroot. Okay, well, I for example, okay, I'll give you a situation. I was making beetroot gnocchi, which I've nailed, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put that in the new cookbook. Beetroot gnocchi, I was thinking, okay, what can I add with it? I want to keep the plain sauce, but then I want to add something to it. And I was like, yes, thyme, goat's cheese, watercress, like lemon, like all this stuff. Like I was like, yes, that's so amazing. I've got this, I've got that. I'm going, oh, I think that's really good. Some toasted pine nuts, and it just worked brilliantly. So that's another flavor combination if you want to learn, like, I don't know, go more deeper in terms of what you want to experiment with flavors and what goes with what, because I know sometimes people are like, I don't know what pairs beautifully with that. For some of us, you know, even some of us that cook regularly, I'm thinking I could just get stumped. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's overdone. What's something different but works? Anyway, that's another episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know what your cookbooks are. What's out on replay on your tea table? What are you pulling out and kind of looking at? I'm always interested in new cookbooks. And yeah, anyway, peace out. I will speak soon. Bye.